Hello and welcome to the DSR Daily for Thursday, October 17th. I'm your host for today, Riley Fessler, joined as always by Minna Stein. Minna, how are you?
I'm good. I'm happy we're having some first cold fall days.
Yeah, it actually starts to feel like fall, but apparently it's supposed to be in the 70s next week, so I'm
Well,
tempering my excitement.
it was good while it lasted.
Yeah, unfortunately my building turned the heat on, which means that I will
Oh,
absolutely cook in my apartment
you'll be
next week.
roasted.
But alas, what can you do? Well, to get us started off with our first story, Israel has stopped processing requests for food imports to Gaza, cutting off a major supply route that had provided more than half of the besieged territory's provision for the past 6 months. Since October 11th, Gaza based traders have been unable to access a system managed by COGAT, the Israeli agency responsible for aid and shipments, causing a significant reduction in food deliveries. The number of trucks entering Gaza has plummeted from a daily average of 175 between May and September to just 29 trucks in October. While Israel asserts it does not block humanitarian aid, commercial shipments have been largely halted, exacerbating food shortages amid ongoing conflict. Aid agencies warn of worsening malnutrition and the risk of famine in Gaza. Horrible, obviously does not square with the Biden administration's requests yesterday, or I guess threat, that they would cut off aid if Israel does not provide more humanitarian aid to Gaza. I don't know if this means that they just, I'm kind of curious why they would do this. It doesn't seem to offer a tactical advantage. It just seems incredibly cruel, but I have no idea. Hopefully this changes from the Biden administration's pressure, but I guess we'll see.
Well, keeping things abroad, Italy's parliament approved a law on Wednesday making it illegal to travel abroad for surrogacy, a move critics argue targets gay couples, while supporters claim it defends the sanctity of motherhood. Surrogacy was already prohibited in Italy, but this new legislation intensifies the ban by imposing potential jail time and fines on those who seek surrogacy services abroad. The law is a key initiative of Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni, Italy's first female prime minister since 2022, who aims to promote, quote, traditional family values during her tenure. Yeah, not a great prime minister. Very far right, trying to implement those again, like I just said, traditional family values, and hurting people
Yeah, I
tremendously
mean,
along the way.
apparently traditional family values means that there will be less families, which is bizarre.
Yeah, good point.
You know, who is this for beyond psychos that just don't want people to be happy?
And like it said in this summary, like it does hurt gay couples, but it hurts all couples who are struggling to have kids. Like it is homophobic, but it is anti-family, like you said. Like she's
Yeah,
trying to promote traditional family values, but she's not. She's hurting
yeah,
all families.
and a lot of places like this will complain about declining birth rates as being a problem. And Italy does have a declining birth rate, and this will certainly not help because less people will be able
Yeah.
to have kids. And as you say, it's clearly meant to harm gay families, LGBTQ plus families. But yeah, this is going to affect everybody. If people have infertility issues, I guess they're only going to be able to adopt, which is still, adoption is important. But if that's not what works for a family, they don't have a choice anymore. And the fact that you cannot leave the country to get it somewhere else is terrifying.
Yeah, it's hard.
Well, keep moving back to the U.S. A Georgia judge ruled that multiple new election rules passed by the Georgia State Election Board are illegal, unconstitutional, and void. These rules, aligned with right-wing priorities, included mandates for hand-counting ballots, expanding ballot drop box monitoring, requiring new ID for absentee ballots, and complicating the election certification process. Judge Thomas A. Cox determined that the rules violated both Georgia and U.S. law, asserting that the board overstepped its authority. The decision deals a significant blow to these election changes, which were widely opposed by local election officials and challenged as examples of bureaucratic overreach. Good. strike down more of these stupid rules. It's clearly just designed to keep people from voting. As we know, the last election was secure, despite what the Trump camp will say. So, these measures are designed to prevent a problem that doesn't exist, which is illegal voting. There is certainly some illegal voting, but a lot of it's just people voting twice or trying to vote multiple times. It's not, the problem is not what they think it is. And these laws are unlikely to help that problem, and they are much more likely to just cause additional harm. So good these are struck down. Keep it coming. Strike them all down, because this is ridiculous.
Yes, please. Well, speaking of the last election, Republican vice presidential candidate J.D. Vance recently stated he believes Donald Trump did not lose the 2020 election, despite previously just avoiding the topic. At a campaign event in Pennsylvania, Vance claimed that there were, quote, serious problems with the election, and insisted he wouldn't say Trump lost. Trump, who is running for president again in 2024, continues to assert that his loss was due to widespread voter fraud, despite no evidence supporting this claim. Vance faced criticism for sidestepping the issue in his previous debate, but now blames the election outcome on online censorship by tech companies. Well. I mean, we all knew that he felt this way, so it's not a surprise, but he was just sidestepping the topic before, and now is doubling down, saying out loud the words that we knew he believed, that he did not think that Trump actually lost the election, which is, of course, troubling when it comes to certification of election results.
Yeah, I mean, his non-answer was an answer. It's a pretty easy question. So the fact that he was dodging, as you said, kind of clearly showed that what we all knew, which is that he obviously thought the election was stolen, or is at least willing to say that it's stolen, because I frankly don't know that J.D. Vance actually believes much of anything.
Who knows what he believes?
I don't know. I mean, it is hard to say. I kind of err on the side of he will say anything to advance his own political goals.
Yeah.
Whether or not he's a true believer, it's hard to say. I kind of err on the side of he's just a cruel pragmatist and is using this to try and get to power.
It's just a lapdog for those who will make him more powerful.
Exactly, which is disgusting, obviously. So it's not a surprise. J.D. Vance continues to be disappointing. Not that we had really any hope for him when he began running for office anyway. Shifting kind of to a different focus, the Archdiocese of Los Angeles has agreed to a historic $880 million settlement to resolve over 1,300 claims of childhood sexual abuse, marking the largest settlement of its kind with a Catholic archdiocese. The agreement follows a California law that allowed past civil claims to be revived for 3 years, resulting in over 3,000 lawsuits against the Catholic Church. Allegations date back to the 1940s, involving clergy and others connected to the church. Archbishop Jose H. Gomez expressed deep regret, hoping the settlement would help provide healing for the victims. This brings the Archdiocese total payouts for abuse cases to over $1.5 billion. Horrifying. Obviously, this is not the first time. There's been numerous cases of this, both in the U.S. and abroad. It's absolutely horrifying every time it happens. Stretching back to the 1940s, I mean, that's horrific. The fact that this was going on for 80 years, and only just now is receiving any kind of justice. I mean, a lot of those people, how much is this even going to help them? Mm-hmm. Hard to say. But I guess justice delayed is better than no justice at all. So that's kind of a small comfort. But the fact that this continued for so long is shocking. And, you can't help but wonder where else this is happening, that it's still being covered up. Because, again, it's happened multiple times with the Catholic Church. It is not a unique problem to California, and I'm sure that this is not the end of it. But An unfortunately grim story to end today. Minna, do you have any good news that you can share? I know you don't have any stories,
Ooh.
but is there anything good you heard that we can kind of lighten it up for this truncated episode?
Is there anything good that I heard? Well, I have heard / seen that Harris is doing very well amongst groups that she previously, it was questionable whether or not she was going to start pulling well with them, like minority groups. So that's good news.
That is good
Yay.
news.
Yay for high polling numbers for Harris.
And some good news is that we will have our election gurus on later today for the Thursday episode of DSR. And of course, I am referring to Simon Rosenberg, Tara McGowan, and Tom Bonnier. So that is something to look forward to. Because
Good episode yesterday.
Thank you. It was an excellent episode. It was kind of a different format. It was just a one-on-one of Ed and David also talking about the election. As you can imagine, we're going to be talking a lot about the election between now and Election Day and even beyond, because as we know, Election Day is not the end, unfortunately. So for all that coverage, please become a member. But if you can't become a member, don't forget to tune into our YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts and continue to listen to our great content. But until then, thank you very much for joining us, and bye-bye.